go on about how selfish I am, but it was a beautiful opportunity, and so hard to turn down.
Yo quisiera preguntarle a Roma, como productora, y ya fue mencionado por los compañeros en algún momento, pero sí retomar el reto de hacer una de las mejores películas en la historia del cine. Se habían visto versiones quizás para televisión, hubo una versión muda en algún momento, pero en este momento como productora, y además con una carrera impresionante que ya tienes como productora y como actriz, ¿qué te hace decidir a ti hacer Ben-Hur?
Well, we had, my husband Mark Burnett and I have been approached by MGM to get involved in the film. It's a story that needs to be told now more than ever. I think that the story of forgiveness and reconciliation is needed in the world that we live in. And there's much talk, of course, of the 1959 movie. People, it's 55 years ago. It's time for a new telling of the story. There's a whole generation of people who don't even know what Ben-Hur was. We call them the Ben-Who generation. And we were able to bring such, amazing performances. John Ridley, who won the Oscar for 12 Years a Slave, brought a whole new telling of this story. Our film is more in keeping with the original book, which was written by Lew Wallace in the 1880s, called Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ. And there are very different plot points in this story. So just because you may have seen the Charlton Heston movie 55 years ago, you haven't seen this story. You haven't seen it told this way. And to be able to bring this sort of modernity. Remember, the 1959 film was also 3.5 hours long. It was so long it had an intermission. And I don't know that we, the modern audience, have the patience for that anymore. So this film is very exciting and dynamic. The chariot race, I know you will inhale when those horses come down that track, and you will not exhale until that race is finished. It is absolutely fantastic. So it is an action movie that really delivers in an exciting way, but it also carries through it this important message of forgiveness and reconciliation. And by the end of the film, from the early pre-screenings that we've done, people leave the theater very emotional. It's a beautiful picture.
Thank you, Roma. Ahora entregamos el micrófono a nuestros compañeros de la agencia Parte, Associated Press. ¿Por dónde están?
Hi.
Gracias.
Welcome to Mexico. Yeah, I wanted to ask what was the main difference in style and storytelling. You already mentioned some of it, but you wanted to achieve in this version to make it update for new generations, and also to show the story in a different light, because there are different versions that have been done, not only in 1959. So,
yes, there was a silent movie version done in the 20s. There have been a couple of stage productions done. And I think the reason that people keep visiting the story is because it's such a great story. You have these two brothers. So in our film, they are young men who are raised together in the same family, the Ben-Hur family. Messala is the adopted brother. So they're raised, they're very close, they love each other. We get to see that at the beginning of the film. And then their life choices pull them apart, and it becomes this, a story of heartache and hurt as this family is ripped apart. Anger moves in, a desire for revenge, and and of course at the end of the film, this opportunity to race. They compete together, and through the race, one brother will beat the other brother. Now, in the previous film, Messala dies. I want to give spoiler alerts here, but we have a different ending. So it's a more hopeful ending to the story. But I think in terms of filmmaking, much has changed since 1959. In terms of performances, I think that actors give much more naturalistic performances than was the style of that time. And I think that our editing style is much quicker and fast-paced. I think we just have different expectations as audience and different expectations as filmmakers. So this film really feels updated and textured, and you know, it feels very real. And our director, wonderful director Timur Bekmambetov, he studied the NASCAR driving, the Formula One driving, to really try to understand what it would feel like to be there. So that particularly in the race, he had the GoPro cameras, he placed them in the wheels of the chariots, he placed them everywhere and between the ears of horses. I don't know if you guys had them on your bodies, but it was really to create that experience that you, the audience, are actually in that race, and it's very, very effective.
And you know, as Ron was saying, that it's so true. The '59 version, which, you know, once again I say it's beloved, and I love Charlton Heston's performance, as well as all the other many amazing performances. But back then in '59, it was very theatrical. It was very operatic. It was the first time we'd seen a film of that size, of that scale, and it was an experience. But it's so funny now, what we're doing is trying to almost go the complete opposite way, which was our relationship was very organic, something built from the ground up. So as actors in that, a lot was based actually between us, like left up to us, how we were going to sort of react to each other. Very much as well, like not just between us, but also with Jesus. For Judah, it's not Jesus Christ, it's a man who shows him kindness. So that's much more relatable, in a sense, for an audience, because it's putting across an amazing message, which is, you know, for Judah, you know, this guy comes into his life in the moment where he needs him most, when he's at his lowest, and he offers him water, and it's that simple act that in a way carries him through. And it's simple things like this. When I go to the movies, I go for an experience, and I go to lose myself and hopefully learn something. It's like if I see a film about paint, I want to paint. If I want to see a film about writing, it makes me want to write. If you see this film, you know, if you're Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Islamic, it's not discriminating against, you know, it's about kindness. It's a story about forgiveness and hope. And it's the kind of reason why we go to the cinema is for this experience, and, you know, hopefully take something away from it, and from a very natural, organic point of view.
Vamos ahora con Milenio. Adelante, Iván. Por allá.
A diferencia de la primera película, años se ha visto que hay una disminución de las creencias religiosas por las nuevas generaciones. Entonces, me gustaría saber si hay alguna especie de responsabilidad o de intención frente a ese grupo de personas que ya no creen en Jesucristo, por ejemplo, como tal.
Well, I certainly think that there's an opportunity through this film for people to feel closer to the experience of Jesus. The first time we see Jesus in the film, he comes in as a carpenter. He's working in the square in Jerusalem, and Judah and Esther are at the marketplace and they run into him. I think that the beauty in that is for a whole audience. They may think he's just a guy in the marketplace. And it isn't until he speaks of the kinds of things that he's saying, or he speaks of love and the importance of goodness, that I think the contemporary audience will really begin to realize that it is Jesus in the story. But there's something very profound happens in the story. If we follow along with the character of Judah Ben-Hur, he wins the race, and he's sure that in winning he will feel triumphant. But he only feels empty. He feels absolutely empty. And when he comes out onto the street, he runs into Jesus, who's carrying his cross. He has an encounter with Jesus that will change his life forever. And at the foot of the cross, he hears Jesus saying, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." And in that moment, his character understands that the only way he can move forward in his life is to forgive his brother. And it's an absolutely beautiful moment of transformation. And each of us, I think there's such an opportunity in that moment for us all to realize that a way forward is to love each other and to forgive each other. And whether you're a Christian or not, the essential thinking of Jesus' philosophy is a very powerful one. And, you know, it's a very good one to live your life by.
Rodrigo, ¿te gustaría a ti comentar un poco esta pregunta?
No, es que Roma ya ha contestado todo. Es algo que es difícil de hablar de la importancia de la figura de Jesucristo, porque es obvia, independientemente de la religión. Yo creo que el hecho de que la figura de Jesús en esa película es un poquito más, como dice antes, accesible. Esa es una forma de conexión con el espectador, que creo que eso también es intencional del director. Le gustaría intentar crear esa relación muy cerca entre el espectador y lo que está pasando en la pantalla. Por eso creo que sí, creo que es una forma de conectarse con algo que es muy humano, con sus enseñanzas, obviamente, que están ahí de una forma también muy humana, también a través de los ejemplos, no solo de las palabras. Eso fue una de las cosas que se quedó muy claro para mí, que creer en las enseñanzas solamente no basta, es necesario poner la palabra en la práctica.
Bueno, le entregamos la última pregunta a nuestros compañeros de Atmósfera Magazine.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Aquí al frente. Para Roma, hablas de renovación, de que es una película que debía renovarse, pero creo que hay muchísimas películas de esa época espectaculares, igual que Ben-Hur. ¿Qué tiene de especial Ben-Hur para haberla renovado, o qué otra película podría renovarse y ya dejarla en el baúl? Y para Jack, mencionas que has visto la película desde pequeño. ¿Qué le has aprendido a un actor como Charlton Heston?
Well, I think that the story of Ben-Hur is just such a marvelous story. And, you know, we're talking about, I know it was a great film, it was a beloved film, but I think that when audiences start seeing this film, the talk of the 59 film will stop. This is a film for 2016, it's a film for a new generation, and you know, we're really excited about telling this story and telling it in this way. And can I just tell you that we are thrilled that we are having the world premiere in Mexico City. We could have been anywhere, but we're here, and we're so excited and honored that we get to open this great film in your great city. And so thank you for hosting us. And we're really, really happy to be here.
Well, Charlton Heston, it was, you know, Charlton Heston was a man's man, very much in those days. The Ten Commandments, you know, you watch that, you watch Ben-Hur, you see, when you first meet Charlton in that movie, Chuck, you know, it's already this rivalry between he and Messala. It's this sort of way of making a movie then, but it sort of very much stays on that path throughout the performance. It's a man who's going through something, and the revenge story takes over, and it sort of sticks through that right to the very end. When we started up, we were very conscious that we wanted to show this relationship, true brothers, because to hate you have to love, you know, one doesn't go without the other, and there was a deep love between these two brothers, you know. And we, for Judah, he was a boy, he wasn't a man. When you first meet him, he's a very confused child, almost, who's trying to keep the peace, and by keeping the peace, he's not paying attention to what's actually going on in the world, which is quite reflective of life today, you know. And what we experience with Judah is a growth, and the growth goes, which most of us need. We need to go to rock bottom to experience the levity of actually bringing ourselves back up again. And I think with this version and with my performance, I was very aware of the transformation of a boy into a man. And the man part comes actually, funny enough, not through the race, not through the beating, because as Roma said earlier, that's when he feels at his absolute lowest, is when he's lost everything. Everything he loved, he's lost. You know, he thinks by beating his brother in this race, it's going to give you everything you ever wanted, but no, instead he finds himself completely empty. And we sort of found this moment on set with this rock, where where one of the Roman soldiers almost hits me, whips me on my back, and I'm with Jesus, and I pick up this rock, and he stops me. He goes, "My life I give of my own free will." And it stops me from hitting the guard with the rock. But then I was with Timur on set, and I said, "I don't want to let go of the rock." And Timur said, "Don't let go of the rock. That's great. Hold on to the rock." And it became this whole sort of symbol that we hold so much on the rock. And then I got to the crucifixion, and there was a moment where we were like, "Oh, this is the moment you should let." This wasn't in the script. This was something that happened organically, naturally on set. And he lets go of the rock, and that was a symbol of everything we hold. All that hatred, all that sort of, you know, that darkness that sort of cripples us internally. And there's so much hate and so much anger and so much fear in the world. And it's so easy and so simple to let go, to forgive. And there's that levity, that lightness that comes from it. And it's like that rock was a symbol of everything that was weighing him down. And by dropping that rock, suddenly he's able to forgive. He has that moment with Jesus. And I feel like that's sort of such a beautiful ending to a movie like this, because like the 59 version, you know, it's a movie driven by hatred and anger and vengeance, and this is a beautiful ending to a movie where hopefully, sorry to go on, but you know, where the world is in such an awful place, and we're so sort of controlled by fear and hatred and anger, and it's nice to figure out that there's another way or another path, and this is very much a film that hopefully can set people free from themselves and that weight that's on them.